there was no shortage of liberal media misfires this year, so we thought we'd break down some of the media's biggest missteps of 2021. And there were a lot. Here to help us is Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Who better to walk us through some of these? Joe, welcome.
You again. I just saw you yesterday on the 5. I can't get rid of you. Hoya Saxa.
Hoya, Saxa, that's right. Georgetown, for the viewers who don't know that. But anyway, Joe, so let's get to this first one. Perhaps the biggest media misstep of 2021 was the framing of Kyle Rittenhouse. Let's take a listen.
Wisconsin, you have Rittenhouse, a white teenager who crossed state lines with an AR-15 style rifle.
Who came across state lines with a firearm that he purchased illegally, driven by his mother.
The right celebrates the Rittenhouse acquittal while the growing obsession with vigilante justice is an active threat to American society.
Wow.
Lies, all of them. Joe, we need some accountability here.
Absolutely. Look, the Rittenhouse trial encapsulated media malfeasance to the point an entire college course could be taught about it. Basic rules broken here, Kaylee, right? The defendant, guilty until proven innocent. I'm pretty sure you went to law school. As you know, that's not how the system works. Race was a central theme as well. Despite the trial involving, 3 white guys shooting 3 other white guys in self-defense. And then you had a network, the one you just played, MSNBC. They were tossed from covering the trial after they chased the jury van back to its hotel. Witness intimidation, even running a red light in the process to do so. A hot mess and a dumpster fire. Fortunately, the justice system got it right. Kyle Rittenhouse, obviously exonerated and maybe celebrated a little bit too much at this point for my taste. But regardless, at least the justice system ignored the media coverage here, Kaylee.
Yeah, and then there was this one. Remember all those voters who showed up in Virginia and voted based on education and critical race theory, and they elected a Republican governor? Well, apparently it was all a figment of their imagination. Roll the tape.
Critical race theory, which isn't real.
You oppose critical race theory being taught in schools, which I should say is not part of Virginia's curriculum.
He has specifically targeted the issue of education and what he calls critical race theory, even though it's not taught in Virginia schools.
What can I say, Kaylee?
Joe.
Media elites, like you played there in New York and Washington, they can claim all they like that CRT isn't being taught in Virginia schools or elsewhere. Parents in the Commonwealth, parents across this country, they knew better when watching that coverage. They saw the curriculums. They spoke to their children. The teachers that were brave enough to defy their union bosses also spoke out. Critical race theory being shoved down students' throats, it completely flies in the face of the mantra of Dr. Martin Luther King. I'd much rather my kids learn more about him because he preached to judge others not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. CRT does the exact opposite of that. Meanwhile, we're 25th in the world in writing, math, and science. Maybe we get back to that blocking and tackling instead of concentrating on race all the time. Fortunately, the Virginia governor's race showed that parents have had enough, Kaylee.
Oh, they've had enough, and the November 22 midterms will show the same. And then there's this one as well, Joe. So that pricey receipt you have at the grocery store, that check that just shows how expensive your meal is at a restaurant, the gas prices. Here's what the media has to say about all that.
All right.
So the economy isn't bad. It's just that people are mad because everything is late and things cost a little bit more.
One of the reasons prices are up is because people can afford to pay those prices.
Joe.
Fascinating. What can you say, Kaylee? It's fun when the richest 1% are telling you that things aren't that bad. Meanwhile, you read poll after poll. 90% of the country says inflation is something they're deeply concerned with. That's 170 million people saying, boy, this is having a big impact. Not 170 million. I'm doing my math wrong. 320 million, right? Half say that inflation is directly causing hardship on its household, particularly in the low and middle class, right? Because they can't absorb all these price increases when it comes to food and gas and heating their homes. And it's the usual disconnect between elites in newsrooms and what people are feeling on the ground. Bottom line is, ABC News poll just out, 7 in 10 Americans disapprove of President Biden's handling of inflation. When you want to spend trillions, and you've already spent trillions this year already, that can do that. And look, you could soft pedal this all you like, but Americans simply are not buying it, Kaylee.
Oh, but Joe Biden and Ron Klain tell us it's transitory, so don't worry about that. Joe Concha.
Right.
And you remember those border agents who were apparently whipping migrants? That just totally egregious lie from the media? Let's flash back to that.
All right.
We saw that image of at least one Border Patrol agent using a whip and was effectively trying to lasso some of the migrants. You see that picture there.
As an image, to me, it does smack of a bygone era of slavery.
Chris Cuomo, whoa, that's a
that guy?
flashback.
Wow, that feels like 80 years ago seeing Chris Cuomo patronizing people on television. Yeah, look, it was a rush to judgment led by the President of the United States and those in his administration. Mr. Biden owes those agents a public apology. I never really heard much about that investigation, by the way, while those agents were suspended. The media members that pushed this BS, they knew better, yet they went ahead and with that narrative anyway. Now they have egg on their faces, of course, but apologies, as you know, it's just not in the DNA of many people in this business, unfortunately. Kaylee, I got to know before we go, it's going to be 2022 soon. What is your resolution? Mine is to lose weight. The wife just said I look like I'm in my second trimester. Not good. Want to hear yours since weight obviously clearly is not an issue.
Not true. Well, mine is to be present. And when I have those rare moments off of work, to be present with my daughter and my husband, not on my phone, put the device aside. So bring down the screen time. Joe, I want to make this final point. Have you noticed a trend in everything we're walking through? That the ivermectin story that was such a lie, that Oklahomans were overdosing on ivermectin and pushing gunshot wound victims out of hospital. What was Oklahoma? Well, a Republican state. The 60 Minutes lie about Governor DeSantis. Well, what's Governor DeSantis? A Republican of a successful state, the state of Florida. All the lies tend to go in one direction, and that's against the right and against Republicans. So anyway, Joe, thanks so much for being here. Had to make that point. Pretty obvious to our viewers, but worth saying.
Journalism has become activism in many circles, unfortunately, Kaylee. I think that's the overall theme that we're seeing. It's no longer about bias. It's trying to control a narrative and change an outcome, and that's a scary thing, Kaylee.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being here. Happy New Year, and you don't need to lose weight, Joe.
Happy New Year.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.